The Middlewest. The wind is so violent here. I hate it. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Manny from Manny Reads Comics, and I hope you enjoyed that very dramatic opening reading from Middlewest by Scotty Young and Interiors by Jorge Corona. This cover here was done by Mike Huddleston, and I think it does a very good job of showing that this story, it's going to be heartbreaking, and I'm very excited to review it. It's one of my favorite books. Anytime anybody asks me, do I have any recommendations, Middlewest is definitely one of the first ones that comes to mind. So again, very excited to jump into it. Let's go ahead and do it. So as you already saw, this story starts with Abel in the middle of a field describing the Middle West and how he feels like it hates him. And then it pans out to this monstrous tornado-looking creature, and you kind of get a feeling of why Abel feels like he's hated by this monster's calling out his name, Abel. And then we pan out to see that it's actually a dream. Abel was dreaming. He was hearing somebody call him Abel, Abel, and it turns out it's his dad calling. A little bit of foreshadowing. So Abel wakes up and he's like, "What? What do you want?" His dad responds, "What do you mean, what? There's nothing you're supposed to be doing this morning?" And then we start to get this story of how, Abel is late for work. He's the newspaper boy. We kind of get a little backstory for that. And we immediately see father has anger issues. He's yelling at him for being late, yelling at him for making a mistake. In his anger, Abel's father starts listing people's names: Mr. Green, Miss Kale, the Simmonses, and about 8 other people that have been waiting for the paper that he, missed out. He slept through. So he quickly gets his stuff and starts his paper route. As he heads out the door, we see the introduction of this creature, this fox that can talk to him. And it doesn't look like he's surprised by it, so we immediately get the sense that this is a fox that he's talked to many times before. Gives him a lot of attitude, or doesn't give him a lot of attitude, but he does say, it's like, "Hey, it looks like you're late for your route." And Abel responds with, "Hilarious. Remind me again why I don't have one of the Boer boys use you for target practice." And with just that response, the fox already knows, oof, the dad really gave him a hard time. And Abel is in no mood, and he's kind of taking it out on him as well. And then we get a good look at the small town that Abel lives in, and we see all these like pink containers with pink substances inside of it. It doesn't mean much now, but I will say that it does come into the story later on. So it's a bit of a mystery at first. We see one of the neighbors yell out to Abel as he passes by, "Next time you're late, I'm gonna cancel my subscription." So people do depend on him for this paper. It's not just a menial task. It's a small town as far as we can tell. So it does seem like people depend on him, and he really shouldn't have slept in like that. As he's going through the route, kind of a callback to the beginning. It almost seems like the wind hates Abel, right? He comes here, and the wind takes all of his newspapers out of his bag, and they just get spread out through all the Middle West. And this fox is laughing at him. You think that the fox is his friend. This is weird. He's just laughing at him, pretty much taking joy in Abel's misery. He's like, "What are you laughing at?" And he's just a kid playing tug of war with nature. Doesn't even try to help him. As he's struggling to pick up these newspapers, again, fighting against the wind, his friends show up, and they say, like, "It's Saturday. You shouldn't be working. You should have been able to sleep in regardless. Come hang out with us." And Abel responds with, "Dad will kill me if I do that, right?" But of course, his friends are able to convince him. The fox tells him that he should definitely, be a kid, go do what you want to do. And he responds like, "You're right. Screw it." So he takes off with his friends. They plan to play some games. So one of them just got a new game, but they hit the convenience store first to get some snacks. Right. Um, while they're there, one of the kids has his hands full of snacks, but apparently doesn't have any money. He says, "Josh, can you get these for me? I'll pay you back when I get my allowance." Um, Josh is like, no, you haven't paid me back for the subs that I got you the other day. And then this kid goes like, fine, whatever. I think I have a different plan. And he looks at Abel's bag, wonders what's in it, and then convinces Abel to put these snacks, all these goodies, inside his bag, and they're just gonna steal it. He's like, don't worry about it. It's not stealing. We're just gonna forget to pay. So they go on their way to try to sneak out, and they're being very obvious. And Abel kind of calls them out on it. He's like, can you at least pretend to be cool about it? Doesn't look where he's going. Boom, bumps into the owner. They've obviously been caught. The owner calls the parents of each of the kids, and they start talking about, hey, are you going to get in trouble? One kid says, like, no, my mom's out of town, or my mom's on a date, so my sister called, she won't rat me out. And so it just seems like these kids aren't really worried about, being caught or anything. But they ask Abel, like, are you going to be fine? And he's like, well, my dad. That's basically it. Josh does try to apologize, but he's like, hey, Abel is, pretty understanding about all this. He's like, nobody twisted my arm. He went along with the plan. The day, as you can see from these panels, the day goes from a bright day to it's starting to get darker. And the owner of this convenience store, comes outside. He's like, hey, Abel, you can come inside and you can wait if you need to. And he's like, no, thank you. But he does let Abel know that he's a good kid, and he's not mad at him. Kids will be kids. It's not a big deal. Finally, Abel's dad shows up. By now, it's dark outside. The window's down on his truck on the passenger side, and he just says, get in the truck. He's in no mood. You can tell that he's in no mood. Abel tries to apologize, and he just gives him this look, like basically saying, shut up. When they get home, his dad begins to close the door with Abel on the other side, and Abel's trying to get inside, and he's like, what are you doing? Why do you think that you're going to come inside this house if you're such a big man? You're showing me that you can make your own decisions, waking up late for work, shrugging off your responsibilities, and now you're getting caught shoplifting. You don't need my house. Abel tries to apologize, but his dad's not hearing it. He says, save it, big man. He doesn't give a shit. And Abel finally just lets him know. He's like, this is why mom left you. Upon hearing this, his dad doesn't miss a beat, and he says, you're pathetic. You think she left me? Your mom and me, we were good. She loved me. We were fun. And basically goes on this tiny little speech letting him know that she didn't leave him. She left Abel. She didn't like Abel. Which is, this is very rough, seeing that this is the guy's dad. We don't know why mom left for sure, but this hurts. Even if this isn't happening to you, this does hurt. And you see Abel, and you can tell that hurt him. He's got tears running down his eyes. He looks up, he's angry, and he just says, fuck you. His dad asks him, what did you say? Going back to the big man, this guy's you're an adult now, you're showing him that he's an adult. Ask him what he said. Abel repeats it. And as most of you probably predicted, his dad smacks him. After being smacked, Abel is down on one knee on the ground, and he looks back at his dad and he says, "His dad makes you feel like a big man." Trying to throw that big man back to his dad, but immediately he realizes he's no longer talking to his dad. We see a panel where his dad is turning into one. His eyes are bright. He's turning into a monster, and Abel is shocked. What? His dad's yelling his name. Abel has no idea what's happening. It's all confusion. The fox shows up, and Abel's trying to apologize. I'm sorry. You need to calm down. But there is no calming this storm down. The fox convinces Abel that he needs to start running. We need to get away from here. It's dangerous. Eventually, they see a train coming up. So the fox comes up with a plan to jump onto the train and go as far away as possible from here. They make it to the train. They land on the train. Everything seems like it's going to work out. But the dad does catch up. He reaches out and he pierces. It looks like he pierces Abel. We see this shining light coming out of Abel's chest. And when you look at the father, he's been this creature this whole time. This is the first time that we see any kind of emotion towards his son. He looks worried. It doesn't look like he finally caught up to his prey. It looks like he knows he just messed up. He did something wrong. Being on the train, they're able to get away. Abel looks back. He's yelling for his dad. Dad is still yelling for Abel. And then we see the symbol on Abel's chest. It looks like a heart. It's a small little symbol. It's shining bright. Abel hugs it. And then we get back to the beginning. The wind is violent here. He hates it. And sometimes it feels like it hates him too. So now we see that he's not really talking about the wind. He's talking about his father. Father hates him. And then it feels like it might just pick him up and blow him away. And that's the end of the first issue. I think that's amazing. I think that from the very beginning of that book, you knew that it wasn't going to end happily. His dad was pretty abusive towards him, not even if he hadn't smacked him or anything, at least verbally abusive. But it did seem like there was some hope. He's got some friends. He's got this familiar, this fox. We we didn't really know where the story was going, but it definitely told us by the end of this, right? His dad's a monster. Can't control his anger. It's very like that's the undertones of this. Like the dad has anger that he can't control, and he took it out on his son. So I love this story. I can't wait to do reviews for the rest of the issues. There's only 18 issues in this, so I hope you see these videos and you like them. If you do like them, make sure you click the button down there, subscribe, and let me know if there's any other stories you'd like me to cover. Uh, Again, Middlewest #1, definitely a great pickup. Go check it out. Thanks for watching.